to me, where she said that the subjunctive is used when there's a change in subject or a change in the person. So let's say the first part of the sentence, okay, you're using I. So the first person I. But in the second half of the sentence, you're changing to another subject. Let's say she. Then this is considered to be the subjunctive and you have to follow the rules. So remember, whenever you're using the verb to be in the present subjunctive, okay, you never conjugate it. You always leave it as be. I am available. That's the simple present tense. If I were to use this in the subjunctive form, I would say, she demanded that I be available. You cannot say, she demanded that I am available. That would be incorrect. Perfect. Another thing that we have to remember with the subjunctive form is when we use the verb to be, but in the past tense. Whenever you're using the wish statements, okay, and you're using the verb to be, it's always going to be were. We cannot use was. What do I mean? Let's say, I wish it were true. You're not supposed to say, I wish it was true, but people tend to use it that way, okay? But remember, it's always were. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Normally, okay, in the present tense, the conjugation of the verb to be in the past tense would be I was. But here, I'm trying to let you know that even though in the present tense is I was, in the subjunctive forms, especially when we're using conditionals or the wish statements, you always have to use were. Perfect. Person in the subjunctive form, you never conjugate the verb. You always have to use the base form of the verb. For example, she prepares dinner. This is the present simple tense. If I were to use it in the subjunctive form, I would use a verb like to propose. So I propose that she, but instead of using makes, I have to say make, only the base form. Make dinner. I, the first subject, propose. Okay, now there's a switch in the subject in the second half of the sentence, so I have to use the base form. I propose that she make dinner. Another example is, he gets a chance. We're using it in the present simple form. I demand that she get. We're not going to say gets. That she get a chance. Only the base form. Perfect. Very important tip, okay, for you to remember when you're going to use the subjunctive forms, okay, in English. And this is in ice. In ice. So INICE. All of these letters stand for a specific expression or word in English. So the I stands for important. So whenever you start a sentence with like, it is important that, you're using the subjunctive form. The N stands for necessary. If you say, it is necessary that, you're using the subjunctive form. The I stands for imperative. It is imperative that, then you're using the subjunctive. The C stands for crucial. It is crucial that, you're using the subjunctive. And the next one is essential. It is essential that, you're using the subjunctive, so you always have to use the verb in the base form. Let's check the examples. It's important that you be on time. You cannot say it is important that you are on time. That would be incorrect. It is crucial that she walk 15 minutes daily. You're not supposed to say she walks. Perfect. So one more time, in ice. In ice. The I stands for important. The N stands for necessary. The I stands for imperative. The C stands for crucial. And E stands for essential. Remember those words. Once you start a sentence with these words, then you have to use the subjunctive. Perfect. Cows raid. Cows raid. Each letter from this word represents a word in English, okay? And whenever you see these words, you're also using the subjunctive form. For example, C stands for command, O stands for order, W stands for wish, S stands for suggest, R stands for recommend, A stands for ask, I stands for insist, and D stands for demand. Cows raid. Whenever you use these words, you're supposed to use the verb that comes in the second half of the sentence in the base form. You never conjugate them. Perfect. Let's check the examples. He demanded that she stay all day inside. So instead of saying she stays, we only leave it in the base form that she stay all day inside because we're using demanded, which is one of those words, okay, that we use in the subjunctive form. The next example is I suggest he read the book instead of he reads. I suggest that he read the book. So in summary, whenever you see these words that I mentioned before, so the in ice or cows raid, which is the easiest form to remember them, you only use the verb in the base form. You're not supposed to conjugate the verbs in the second half of the sentence. Perfect.